What's up guys, Chris here from Crisis Point and welcome back to the channel. And in this video, we're going to be talking about the iPhone 12, its features, the perks, and why you should consider getting this iPhone in 2022 versus the other iPhones of the world that is available in the market today. But before we dive into this, let me tell you why I got the iPhone 12 in the first place. So a couple of weeks ago, I've acquired a Xiaomi 11T. This all started after having to see a few local tech reviews talking about this particular model and how it is being one of the best value for money smartphones, etc. I've purchased mine back in late June. And although I did like the performance, the one thing that struck me as not flagship material, the camera. Now I'm not saying the Xiaomi 11T has a bad lens. As a matter of fact, it has a good lens, which is a 108 megapixel lens of pure awesomeness. But the challenge here was how to be on the go and take a photo when the opportunity arises. Like say ToyCon 2022. This place was jam-packed. And you can't be just taking your time standing still as people are constantly coming in and out. And because of this setup, the 11T showed a ton of struggle when taking those easy photos that most counterparts can easily do. And because of this, I ended up going to the most popular place in town where you can get the best prices for your tech and gadget needs. Green Hills Shopping Center, located in San Juan, Metro Manila. Now, I've thought about it long and hard, and based on research and surveys, because of popular platforms like Instagram and TikTok, more and more consumers are getting an iPhone because of how optimized it is when it comes to social media, as opposed to the Android counterpart. And after narrowing down the options available for the price, most consumers only have a few to consider in 2022, especially if the ballpark figure is just around 35,000 pesos, namely the iPhone 11, the iPhone 12, and the iPhone SE 2022 edition. Now, if you head over to Apple stores, these three are going to be priced around 30 to 40,000 pesos, with the exception of the SE 2022 edition that is priced below the 30,000 mark. But in Green Hills, there's actually a few that sells the iPhone 12 at around 34 and the iPhone 11 at just below 30,000, brand new, not refurbished, and isn't locked or any of that sort, which I was able to acquire at All Dims Trading. Now, I'll drop the links and their contact details below if you're interested in getting one for yourself. But when it comes to buying smartphones in Green Hills, there are two things that you have to consider. First and foremost is what comes with the unit. Does it come with freebies like a tempered glass, protective case, you name it? iPhones are a dime a dozen, and after sales is very much important. Next is warranty. Apple devices by default come with 1-year warranty services, but most stores don't even provide an easy 7-day replacement. It's usually just 1 day, but with All Dims Trading, I was offered at least 7 days. If there are any defects, without question, they'll replace it, provided that the device is still in pristine condition. Now that's out of the way, let's now talk about the iPhone 12. Okay, so this is the iPhone 12. This was released back in September of 2020. This device in particular caught so much attention because it brought back the iconic design of what people used to know of what an iPhone looks like. But because the iPhone 12 has been out in the market for about a few years now, we're not going to be doing an in-depth review. Instead, we'll just be focusing on the design, storage, gaming, and camera. These 4 categories are the only things you need to consider when buying a new iPhone at this particular price point. Alright, so this is the iPhone 12. This design is basically what the majority of other brands have been trying to mirror and copy. But what's interesting about this particular model is that the front of the device is not your typical Gorilla Glass screen. As a matter of fact, it is what Apple calls as ceramic shield, which in general is just a fancy term for a specific kind of Gorilla Glass 5. So Gorilla Glass 5, for for those of you who don't know, is basically a shatter resistant screen, but it's more prone to scratches versus, let's say, the likes of a device that has Gorilla Glass 3, which is more scratch resistant. But either way, having to put a tempered glass would pretty much solve the problem. Now, the display on the iPhone 12 is a Super Retina XDR OLED display with support for HDR10, Dolby Vision, and can go from 625 all the way to 1200 nits peak brightness. So this is going to be very visible outdoors. If you'll be like texting or checking out social media while on the commute, you are treated with a very beautiful display. Unlike the previous iPhones that is stuck at 720p, the iPhone 12 has an OLED screen with a 1080p resolution. Now, I'm not going to shower you too much with a lot of the specifications for the screen. It doesn't have a high refresh rate for those people who will be like thinking about putting that in the comments. You see, with iPhones, you don't necessarily need to have a high refresh rate because the user interface is well optimized to give you that smooth animation regardless of what you do. It doesn't necessarily need to have the high refresh rate because Apple is in control of the majority of what you're seeing on the iPhone. They can easily tweak what needs to be tweaked to make it be more than it should be. But this is basically what you will be getting out of the box. No need to wait for some software update of a promised feature or whatnot. This is it. One critical thing when it comes to buying iPhones is storage. That's basically the next thing you would have to put into consideration over the price. Why? Because we already know that the latest iPhones will always be the most expensive iPhones. But if, let's say, I'm able to save a portion of my money to get something that performs decently but has double the storage, then it's a win for me. It's not always about getting the highest possible storage. It doesn't matter if your smartphone has 256 gigabytes of storage or 512 or 128, it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, you have to understand first how much storage do you actually need before you jump in and start buying these smartphones. Just keep in mind, always consider the storage and how you plan on using that storage. Because if you're not a heavy user, 64 gigabytes is okay. Next, let's talk about gaming. So iPhones in general is pretty much known to be able to play any game on the market, period. It's always been that way because the App Store has been the golden standard when it comes to applications. And because Apple has full control on what they would want to have with their smartphones as opposed to having to cut corners somewhere, consumers are being treated with the latest and greatest and fastest when it comes to processing power and the like. So pretty much games like Call of Duty Mobile, PUBG Mobile, even Diablo Immortal, max it out to whatever high graphics is available. Even with the likes of Genshin Impact, you can play at maximum settings and barely you will see any frame drops, as opposed to having to do the exact same thing with an Android counterpart. Now, I'm not saying that gaming phones on Android is weak. It's not that. It's just that there's just so much confusion when it comes to their own configuration that just makes the whole experience complicated. The only issue that I've had when it comes to gaming on an iPhone is whenever it becomes too hot, the screen dims out a bit. Just a bit. But this is a fail-safe when it comes to iPhones, so that it protects the screen. Now, as far as camera and photography and videography is concerned, the iPhone 12 has a dual camera configuration with a 12 megapixel wide lens and a 12 megapixel ultra wide. The iPhone 12 is capable of shooting videos at 4K at 24, 30, and 60 FPS, 1080p at 30, 60, 120, 240 FPS, with support for HDR and Dolby Vision HDR. So technically, if you're going to listen to what I just said, it's going to be a lot of mumbo jumbo for a lot of people, but the actual usage is going to bring any consumer who's looking for a new iPhone a lot of joy. So over the weekend, I did go to Pinto Art Museum, which is located in Sierra Madre Grand Heights, Antipolo Rizal, which basically is a tourist destination that gives you access to generations of art. But basically for the camera and video performance, here they are. And that pretty much sums up the experience of using the iPhone 12 in 2022. Now let's talk about the why you should consider the iPhone 12. First of all, the iPhone 11, regardless of what storage configuration it is, was released back in 2019. This is rocking the Apple A13 Bionic. Now, it's not exactly a bad deal. As a matter of fact, I still see a lot of people who actually purchase an iPhone 10, an iPhone XS, a 10R. I mean, it's all good. But if you're after the future proofing, wherein you don't have to buy a new iPhone for the next 2 to 3 years, the iPhone 12 is your safest bet if you're in the market for a new iPhone in 2022. It is fast enough to get you through the day and then some. Battery life is okay, it's a bit hit or miss, but with recent software updates, it's okay. It's not as bad as it once was, and the camera is just amazing. And of course, that beautiful display is more than enough to provide you with a lot of awesome content consumption with Netflix, YouTube, even TikTok if that's your jam. And that's pretty much it for my review of the iPhone 12. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or inquiries. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Consider subscribing to the channel for more tech reviews and unboxing videos. And if you're looking to get one for yourself, as mentioned, I'll drop the links in the description down below. Check out All of Them's Trading official Facebook page, as well as their contact number, should you want to get one at a very affordable price that fits your budget. Thanks again for watching. This is Chris once again from Crisis Point, and I'll catch you in the next.